Hello and welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the top of the world. I'm Simon. These took a while to come. I don't know why they took so long to come. They only came from Germany. But we've been waiting on these. Comes in a nice box though. Biscuits. Joining biscuits. This is the size that I use because that's the size my machine uses. It wasn't actually my machine. It's a cheap and nasty Chinese generic one that was here, but it still works, so we use it. Okay, so today is our going to town day. What was. Did the weather forecast the temperature to be about -20? Yeah, if I get up early and get the furnace lit, get everything roaring, and -20 we can go to town and back in 4 hours, and I can quickly relight the furnace and we're all good. However, when I went out this morning, it was -27. Right, can't go out. Period, can't leave the building, can't. That's the main reason. The second reason was just to check, and I thought this was the case because we last drove the van, I don't know, a month ago, weeks ago, 3 weeks at least. No, it's not even. And has it got a problem with the engine heater? Does the engine heater work? Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's outside, tucked around the corner there where it normally sits, and it's not even a thing today. So, and we have both furnaces going. We have the big one in the cellar, and we also have the small one upstairs. So the big one downstairs, 3 days like today, I have to stop every hour and 15 minutes, go and restack it. Sarah will be feeding the one upstairs constantly. Both of them put water into the hot water system, which allows us to be able to operate. Right, there are no choices. I'm going through all this again just for my thousands of new subscribers. We live in the Arctic, right? We are 100% wood-fired, no alternative. Everything is heated by the one big furnace downstairs, which is wood-fired. Behind you, what you can't see is just a mass of kindling and stuff. I've had to put wood down this morning. I stock 50 cubic metres downstairs in the cellars. Should get us a ways through the winter. But the subject is not on how we're managing to survive, which is a fight every year. It's on this huge birch worktop. This is the next worktop for inside the joinery shop in there. And we're now 3 or 4 years air dried on the birch. So none of this is shop bought. The only thing that's shop bought here is this, right? And the glue, which I'll be sticking it together. Am I having trouble talking this morning? Oh, do we even want to go there? No. So, all the birch is cut by me, and then it's turned into cants, and it's air dried for 1 year, then it's turned into boards, rough boards, and then it's air dried for another 2 years. So we're a minimum air dried 3, and they've been stuck and weighted, and they're just lovely and twisted. So, how we have to do this, because our worktops are sectional, they're 4 wide, the other 2 I put up there, is I'm going to have to join these 2 together first, right, by marking them out and putting the biscuit joints in, and in their lengths and in their ends, and glue them and cramp them. Then I've got to spin it over, and then I've got to screw straightening battens and tying it all down underneath. Then I've got to spin it back, and then I put the next board on, turn it over, do the same, spin it back, and put the last board on. And the reason I turn it backwards and forwards is because I have to brace it from underneath, but this is my seam surface, so I want to see how I'm joining it and connecting it, because that's the most important thing to me. And then whilst they're on their trestles, we can just roll it over, do the work we need to underneath, and then roll it back. It is time consuming that way. It's the only way, it is the only way I can get these huge twists out of these boards. And we went through the same procedure in all the worktops that we did upstairs. So the one that we did, the corner one, we did a few weeks ago, or for you it'll be a few weeks ago, but a few days ago for me, we screwed that one in situ. That has not worked as well as I wanted it to. So we're not going to even attempt that with this one. We're going to do it the same way as we did all the worktops upstairs, and we're going to biscuit it, joint it, cramp it, glue it, turn it, support it, brace it, and let it dry. That's all we can do. And you can see just the huge twists. So, you know, we're going to have a fight just the same as we did with all the rest. You will be able to do it, but this is a saw bench for in here. So it's got to be as flat and as straight as any worktop, or at least the finished result has. And then we're doing it similar to the other one with drawers underneath on a frame. Have I changed my mind in how I'm setting that shop out? Yep, I have. But we're not there. First thing to do is start putting this together, and my eyes are just flicking at the clock, and before we go any further I've got to stop this, or should I take you with me? Come with me, because come with me. We can just go and do the furnace, son. There. Are all the trees white? Are we frozen solid? You know, I've shown you out this window before, and it don't always show up too well because of the brightness. So the van is there, but that's dead. Right, that ain't moved for weeks, and that ain't moving. So that's the end of that. But on the other side of that, it's cold to touch this, but it's not cold on the inside because of the new pump. But that's about minus 26 outside, minus 26 Celsius. Anyway, so we just have to go and refire what we're doing downstairs. Yep, I've cleared up all the mess, the shavings bags, because the big stillage that was there, I put the wood down the chute. Put the wood down the chute. Then I put down all the offcuts. So this is all for the wood stove upstairs, this small stuff. Right, let's go downstairs and do that. Looking good, Willis. Looking good. The reason I say it didn't work, look, is I've had this big crack open up here. Anyway, we're under repair. We are using a mixture of birch dust and polyurethane glue. We will get it. We will get it, but it did open up, and it's annoying me, and it's opened up all the way down that. And we can't have that on the next one, so there we go. Right, let's go and do the furnace. Right, girls. Right, so that is another bag of shavings from upstairs for the girls. Alright, honey bunnies. Yeah, all good. There's one sitting in the box there. 4 eggs today. Right, anyway, off into the darkness. There's wood drying. Yeah, with 2 furnaces going, we're creeping towards the 50 degrees outgoing water temperature. This is all in Celsius. How's your pump doing, Simon? Well, yeah, it's alright. Okay, what we got going on in there? Bits of willow, saloo. This is all from the forestry thinnings. Birch, we don't put a lot of saloo in, but unfortunately it's all part of what we have to collect in order to make sure we got enough firewood, albeit it don't burn very well. You know, this it's like an old bit of fur, really, goes straight up the chimney, but we don't have much choice. Much rather this kind of stuff, and we get that. I'll show you in a minute. Right. There we go. So this is nice and warm wood. And then this is where we are working through what we've got. And this is the last of the round stuff I chucked down this morning. And that's getting stacked over there because we've already gone through 3 rows here. So you can see it's a mixture of birch, willow, there's some pine in there, offcuts, you know, tops of trees, odd bit of fir, but I try not to have any fir down here because we don't want the sap up the chimney. Anyway, so that's fresh, that's just come in. My new dehumidifier, for everybody that's interested, bought that for my birthday present. Does it work anymore? No, it doesn't. No, in as far as it works and runs, it's just stopped freezing, which means it doesn't work. So there you go. So how disappointing is that? I really had to stretch to buy that for my birthday. And it's 2 years old. And yet, the old E-back I had before that, which was held together with, anyway, it was held together, I've been running for 30 years. 30 years on an original old E-back when they knew how to make stuff. 2 years on a brand new, what even is that? Some Chinese. Anyway, yeah, the refrigerant side of it no longer works, so it doesn't freeze up, and if it don't freeze up, you don't draw water out. So I'm going to take it upstairs and have a look and see what I could do with it, but generally, yeah, I wouldn't normally have that there, but I've literally just chucked those down, and these will come up here and they will get stacked along here. Yeah, terrible really. So I know I get distracted a lot and have to go off on tangents, but then that is just how life is. Like you can't get into anything and just do it until the summer comes. And then really there's so much to do. You haven't got time to do, like I couldn't, unless I was doing this as a paid job, and I can't actually imagine anybody paid me to do this here. So if you think I used to make tables and stuff this size out of exotic hardwoods, you know, and you could charge 40, 50, 60,000 pounds, you ain't happening there. Ain't happening there. And even the people here wouldn't dream about making a bench like this out of birch. It would just be like it is with boards on top. At this end, before we put the middle bit in. So the reason you use a bit of wood on this side is because this is the side we're joining on, and if you don't and you get impression marks, you'll see them when you glue it together. Right. Then we have to mark this next one up. Okay, now this last bit. And these are the braces I'm talking about. Do I want to put these on? No, they're time consuming and they use up resources. But it is going to help me do what I want to achieve, and it will, in the end, give me a straight and true worktop. The wine's coming out, but not as much as I'd like. And on that note, resources, my good friend, Brian, we'll call him, he bought me a whole pack of mixed screws. And he said he got them really cheap. And he donated them. Well, the reason he got them really cheap is because they're really naff screws that nobody wants, because you have to pre-drill them. And they're just not very good, and they're cheap. But they are a screw, and I have pre-drilled, and they work perfectly. So as far as getting these in and out, because they're the old star head, you can only use them twice, maybe 3 times. Unlike the new torque screws, you can use over and over again. Some of the screws that are in the collection for the scaffolding, which is now up at the theatre, they've been used 1, 2, 3, and now 4 times in the scaffolding, screwed and re-screwed. And these are only good for 1 or 2, but they're good for this, and I'll be able to get them out, because all of these have got to come off when we build it in situ. So, shout out to Brian for supplying the screws. And we'll turn it over and keep working our way through this, put the next board on and then the next board on. Well, still got a wind in it. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still got a wind in it. I'm not going to be able to take that out until I get it on the frame, which goes to show you how much pressure it's going to be under when it gets on the frame. It might... I'll come back and undo the cramps and redo the cramps in about 2 hours, and we'll see if we can't keep winding it the other way with cramps. I've got about 3 hours on the glue, so perhaps I'll go and have a cup of coffee and feed the furnace and then unclamp and reclamp. I have been deliberating over this for more than an hour, and there's a reason for that. I was going to move the saw, which has actually got a block on it, from that side to this side. Anyway, I've got a machine over there that I've never used, ever, and it's set up for something I don't want to do, and it just makes a mess in this room. Anyway, so I'm on this wall, and my initial idea was to go all the way down and make that back area just a turning room. Right, so I'm here. I've got to do something with these machines. Now this is a really useful small bandsaw. I've got the big bandsaw, but for doing small stuff this is really useful. What I've got on the back of it, right, here's a faux pas. So I've got some new extension leads. Do I even want to go into this? Anyway, is this one mine? No. Is this one mine? No. They seem to have got mixed up when I had to go and sort something out, and it seems that I got the two shitty extension leads and somebody got my two new ones. Right. So what we've got here is a bandsaw with a little lathe on the back of it. Have I ever used this lathe? No. Am I ever likely to use this lathe? Never. Because I've got a full size one. Don't need this. I'm not really a lathe person. Can be, but... So I don't need this. So this whole thing here is just housing this bandsaw. Right, and this is how it would have come, I'm assuming. Don't need it. And then this machine here, can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it jigs about and it's for cutting fine stuff out. I'll show you what I mean. Right, Casper's really clingy today. Right, this is like hobby work kind of stuff. The arm goes up and down and you can do different shapes and you've got all these tiny little blades. And anyway, I don't use that either or have any need for it. However, whilst I'm standing there looking at it, I'm thinking I've got this thing, which is way too big and I don't need. And I've got that thing, which is on a very large stand. Wouldn't that make that a nice usable tool if I took the bandsaw off of that and put it on that stand? Right, it's got bolt holes on it, it was screwed to the floor. Yes. Yes. That way we do away with all the stuff that we don't need. We don't need this. Am I ever likely to use it? Well, I don't know. I certainly don't need all this. But this just bolts onto here. So I could off-bolt this and bolt it onto that stand. That makes the bandsaw not only a better height for me, but far more usable. And the reason I say I don't need this or wouldn't use it is because I have that. So, let's unbolt this little machine here, right, because I don't need that. And then, let's remove the bandsaw off of that and put the bandsaw onto this and then move the lot. Because I've got to clear this wall. Yeah, I think I've got that central, the weight central, that'll do. Frame. Anyway, I don't have any use for this. So this can go on outside. It saves me all that room. That's all that's left of those machines that took up all of this room. I've bolted the bandsaw on there and I've slid it next to Casper's chair for the minute. The little machine, that's gone in the racking and the space that was made by taking this out. This will go away somewhere quite flat and will sit there until somebody needs it or wants it. And that's that area clear. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. I haven't had the camera rolling for days. I don't even know where we're up to. We think we've taken the clamps off of the worktop out there. And then I started clearing through here, and then the snow came. So then I've got to stop, got to go snow ploughing, got to go clearing. And then it got really cold, and today is Saturday, so I should have put a video up last night. I don't have one. We'll get into that. Should have put a video up today. I don't have one for that either. So this is the second week in the last 12 months where I've missed a video. As you know, sometimes I put up to a week. And it's not because I'm short of footage. It's because I can't use the editing software. or get the files to change from all the different cameras and all of this stuff. And I'm just... Anyway, then I had to bring the van inside because we couldn't go to town on Monday or Tuesday because the van wouldn't start. It was just too cold. It was just lock solid. Anyway, I managed to get it inside and warm it up, so we went to town yesterday. And something I've not done before, so there's a number of benefactors to the channel, but the ones that go out and beyond are the ones that actually send me stuff. So Heath, I've mentioned before, he's a good man. He's been a long time supporter of the channel, long time support. Another long time supporter of the channel is my friend Brian. And Brian sends me screws and other things, gives me work and just generally, and he sends stuff. Because of the recent massive uplift in my Swedish subscribers, pair, right, what a man. He watches the channel and he's watched me upgrade the lights from the candles on the back loader, the Volvo, the yellow one. Well, he's recently upgraded his lights, I don't know what he's upgraded them to, and asked me if I wanted his old ones. Yes. I have a box here that's been sat at the post office for a few weeks now, or a week or so. And he has sent me 4 of these lovelies. I know it's dark, I'll tell you why it's dark in a minute. These are LEDs. So I've got 4 of these. And then I've got 2 of the same ones I just fitted on the retractor that we did after the fire. These ones, which we know are good. So we've got 6 lights all told in this box. There's no beer in there, which is just as well because I don't drink beer. So I've got 2 of these and 4 of these. So now we have LED lights for the red Volvo tractor. I'm trying to think of the numbers. Anyway, for the forest tractor, we've got new LED lights. So thank you, Purge. Marvellous, great, amazing. Lights. Why aren't the lights on, Simon? Why are you in the dark? Amongst many other things that happened yesterday, we get our electric bill quarterly. Our electric bills always come quarterly. Had a meeting with the accountant yesterday to go through end of year, and when I got back, downloaded the email, and there was my electricity bill, which is a bit odd because it's not due till March. Anyway, they sent me an electric bill just for December. Why? I don't know. Anyway, my usage didn't appear to be any higher than normal, but the cost, oh my goodness. So when I calculated the increased cost in electricity prices, because we were in a contract, we're out of contract now, our price increase was 600%. Yep, that was our price increase. I got a bill yesterday for 1 month, which is just shy of what we used to get charged per quarter. Just a year ago. So within the contract that we have 3-year contracts, you have 2-year contracts, you have a year contract, you don't have to have any contract. We was in a 3-year contract that was obviously signed 3 years ago. And the electricity price was pretty much the same, and it was a reasonable price. My 2 biggest costs here are electricity and diesel. They're my biggest costs amongst all. And any urgent repairs that come up. But my running costs, electricity and diesel. Well, we obviously had that period 2 years ago where diesel went through the roof. Did anybody want to increase what they pay for snow ploughing? No. Can anybody afford to increase what they pay for snow ploughing? No. So me, like every other snow plougher, tractor driver, had to swallow the additional cost of diesel, which was a lot. Anyway, diesel has come back down now, but electricity's gone through the roof. So I received it, and I, because of how careful we are, we have one of the lowest costs of electricity in the village anyway, even though by far it's the biggest building. So if you ignore the size, we walk around with head torches and stuff most of the time rather than turn on these big banks of lights, which is why more recently you've seen the odd LED sensor light go up, because we are literally walking around with head torches. And like the stairwell lights, there should be 6 lights on the stairwell. There's only 2. I've taken the bulbs out of all the rest. just to keep the electricity down, and we don't use any electricity for heating. We're fully... So our electricity usage isn't anything above last December's. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with electricity prices, but it's going to be impossible. So I'm now back to working in the dark like we were 8 years ago when there were no lights. Just crazy. But while I'm doing all this, obviously Casper's being ignored because it's winter. He's asked me to go out. So I took him out and I went out without taking my camera. So, as I'm sure many of you know, some of you don't know, in the Arctic, the daylight isn't really daylight. It's kind of semi-daylight for a large proportion of the winter. So we're in the middle of the day, he's wanted to go out. Now you can't actually tell how dark it is. I'm sure it all looks fine to you. All looks normal. Obviously there's no sun because we don't get any sun. However, what we have got today is the moon. So this kind of glow on the trees here, that might be possibly the sun way over there but below the horizon. But there's the moon. The camera, I've said it before, it just doesn't show up how dark it is. Anyway, it's half light. It is half light. I'll tell you how half light it is. Head torch, shed wall, lights on. There you go. Snow. There you can see the shadow of the phone. Right, you wouldn't get that in the day. Anyway. Right. Yeah, the moon. I thought I'd show you the moon. I'm quite sure what the temperature is. My tooth's hurting really badly, so it's got to be -20. Come on, Bee. Hello? Come on, let's go. Right, finally. I can't believe it's taken me nearly a week just to clear that corner. But it has. But the temperatures are really low at the minute, and other things have to take priority over everything else when temperatures get this cold. Even this building, which has maintained itself at about 10 degrees all the way through the winter thus far, is no longer 10 degrees. I don't even know what it is. And there we go. 7 degrees. So I can feel it's much colder in here, and yet nothing's changed except the temperature outside. Right, so where am I at? Well, I'm jamming myself up in all sorts of places, as you do when you do this kind of thing. But long term, of course, it's going to ease all the problems that I've had. However, now we can't machine up any of the framework for the worktop or machine the second part of the worktop because this one's in the way. Now, I haven't been overly successful in getting this wind out, but I've got to make a decision now because I've got to cut it. And I've got to cut a square on that end and a 45 on this end to go around the corner. And then I've got to roll it over and take these buttons off. Now, I think the bend starts about here. And I think through here is where I've got to cut it somewhere. Now, that is going to improve the wind on this. So, I guess the first thing to do is establish where I want to cut across on this end. Right, that's kind of free now then. And now I can go back and do this final cut, but I'm not actually going to do that at the minute. I'm going to do the framework first, because that's an old blade in there, and I want, for that 45, I want a really nice cut. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but it has separated it. Basic framework up and goes round the corner. So if we stand back here, we can see what we're going to achieve with that one in the same style as that one. Oh, there's me keep saying, oh yeah, I can pull the wind out of that, can I? I don't know. Jeez. Jeez Louise, I don't know. I'm going to use polyurethane glue on this particular one because we're going to have to, we need a bit more working time. But we're going to have to clamp and screw, and it's going to take quite a bit to get all this right. Get all my lovely clamps off of my lovely clamp rack. Okay. That's the back screw down. there's nothing more we can do with that now. We're going to leave it clamped up. It's pretty good, I've got to say. It's definitely gone in there flat. It's definitely tight underneath. It's tight at the back. So, we're glued, screwed and clamped. And then the work can begin. So I did sand that into a nice flat edge. The bottom edge is also slightly back so that it comes to a point at the top so I can get a better, or as good as I can, join. We know what the dimensions are of this piece now, which we're going to make, but we're not going to make it today. We're going to make it tomorrow. Alright, so this is the next section. But this is a relatively good board, but quite twisted. Other than that, well, they are not birch, that is softwood framing. Other than that, this is, oh, the lights, come on. Right, so this is framing, softwood over there. This is all I got left out of all the birch slabs. And is there anything any good in there? No, not really. Alright, well what we can tell is this has gone down a lot flatter than the last one. It doesn't have a winding in its length. It has got a bit of unevenness between the laminates itself, where it's still wanting to twist, but we can take that out. It's only this last 3 feet. The rest of it's not bad, so let's see what happens when we take the clamps off. Nothing, I hope. Right, that's about 25 minutes on that sander. I'm very surprised that that belt didn't overheat, and anyway, it didn't. And now I think we're 85% of the way to getting this flat. Now, as you saw, right, I was cross-hatching. So this whole worktop is now cross-hatched. What's cross-hatching? Well, that's where you sand across the grain. The grain runs this way, you come across. What that does is that puts 1 billion cuts into your grain this way. With a 40 grit sanding belt, which is coarse, really coarse. But that don't matter, right? Because we're going to sand it so many times, eventually we'll take all this cross-hatching out of here, but you have to do it. So, the amateurs, they will tell you, always go with the grain like this. Right, well firstly, when you've got a glass back, you can't. Not on a coarse belt. And secondly, you'll never ever get it flat. All you'll do is exaggerate the waves. You've got to go across. You've got to get it flat from this side to this side. So you have to go across, which means you're going to get cross-hatching. And I'll show you what I mean. See that? That's all caused, all these scars are caused by the sander, all of them. That is cross-hatching, and you've got no choice. So, you should be able to see now where the sand has been and where it hasn't. We haven't touched this area here because this is a low spot and this is a high spot and this is a high spot. So, what we do now is we take our pencil. Right, so before we change on to our next sanding belt, what we're going to do is we're going to go cross-level across the whole of the board until as much of the pencil mark has gone as is possible. And then we'll change from the 40 grit to the 60 grit and then we'll do it again and rinse and repeat. 60 grit to 80 grit, then we'll go from 80 to 120, and then once we're at 120, that's when we'll turn and we'll take out what's rest of our cross hatching from 120 grit to 250. And there should be no cross hatching left by the time we're finished the process. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So we're only into this now 2.5 hours, and I'm down to 120 grit, which is all I'm going to do here. So it's cut to shape, it's cut to length, it's ready to go into place. There's no point in going past 120, because if it gets damaged going in there, you'll kick yourself real bad. So I'm down to 120. What's kind of interesting is when you go from 40 and 60, there's so much drag on the sander, you can feel what you're doing. As you get into finer and finer grit, it's kind of skating. It's still working, but it's much lighter and got far less drag on it. I've got a very small anomaly here, considering what we started with. Well, it's still not bad. I'm going to take that out in place. So, down to 120, now it's time to move it. So that's gone in there real nice and flat now. It's going to give me no problem. As opposed to this one, which has had no finishing work done on it at all, because, well, it was just a minute or two ago for you. So I've got this situation here, right, not good. We're going to improve on that. We're just going to run the saw right down through the cut, and that will close that gap up. Just got a bit of jiggery pokey to do here. Jiggery pokery. And yeah, I know it's short on the back there, but of course it don't matter. I didn't want to laminate another piece on to do that, when of course that is all going to be behind the power wall. This is where we're up to. A lot of work, especially a lot of work here, an awful lot of work here, to try and get it level. This had a dip up, this had a dip down, this was curled up on the end. This one was pretty flat, actually, considering what we started with. And this one went in real nice. Up with a laser, and the bits going in for the draw runners. Draw runners. Okay, I'm running short material in here. So, I was really going to struggle to get the 2-inch wide that I need to match up with the uprights out of what I got. Some of you won't, but many of you will remember, or firstly know, that I'm a scavenger. But not the airport scavenge, the railway scavenge, where I took all that stuff from the railway, which has, between the airport and the railway, that has built that entire sawmill building and all the wood store for me to store the other wood that I scavenged. Well, right back in November, however many years ago it was, when we scavenged off the... No, it wasn't. It's not the airport. It's the railway. 2 years ago. These are the cut-offs of the brand new pressure-treated timber that they used for the boardwalks either side of the track across the bridge. This old man's got to get down there and fit that lot. So we're going to glue and screw all that lot into place and then come back. No way. There you go. And that is why I bought that. So that's an even shorter distance. Can I get on that one? Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Another bag change. So it's such a large surface area. I'm about 3.5 hours into my sanding process, and good job I got some reasonably good music, and that depends on your standpoint of music. I've worked my way up to 120 grit. We've been on the 120 grit now for a while, and I'm wondering if I jumped too early, but the 80 grit, it was just tearing it up too much. So 120 grit is way too coarse for a fine semi-hardwood finish. Way too coarse. So I've got to keep going. How do I think it's going? Yeah, it's kind of hard for you to see because of all the dust on it, but it's definitely flattening. There was a huge problem here at this corner join, and that's no longer a problem. This massive problem we had at the end here, that's reducing considerably. It's generally quite good. I'm going to keep going with the 120 because I'm just not ready to move on to a 180 yet. There's little bits that are still... This is much better than it was. Much better than it was. Yeah. I'm certainly not ready to put the round on it yet. If you put the round on it too early, then you're just going to sand some of that off. So I'm gonna give it another hour, another full chat all the way there and all the way back on 120. I don't know whether I've got enough grit left on the belt. I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna give it another hour on 120 and then move to 180 and go from there. How many hours do you think's into that, Simon? Well, to get it somewhere, I think that one over there had 7 hours on it, right, which is obviously quite large but tiny in comparison to this surface area. So I've got to give it at least 7 hours, another 4 hours. I'll give it another hour on 120. We'll be 2 hours on 180. We might finish on 140 and then go on to the orbital. So we'll see. They're not the best. It's not the best. It's okay for at the moment, but I don't know if I've actually transferred them to my air tool drawer or not. Let's see, I don't know what's in what drawers yet. There we go, air tools. Right. No, I wonder what I've done with them then. Maybe I put them away because the chances of me using them again because they're so damaged. Oh, here we go. Right. So I used to have these. Okay, I don't know. I can't remember. I've still got a million pads for these, but these don't work anymore, or at least the air that I can produce here isn't sufficient to be able to run these. But we used to use banks and banks of these, not on modern screw compressors, on the old twin cylinder V compressors, V twins. Anyway, they're the best thing because they're so long. If you look at the length of the bed here, and these are orbitals, and the length of the bed of the air sander, much better for doing work like this, much better. We used to use these on windows and sashes, frames, everything. The sanding belts, it's nice and wide, but you get a much flatter finish with that. Anyway, they don't work anymore. They're way too old, and they're just generally worn out. Why are you keeping them in the cupboard, Simon? Well, it's quite an important part of my history as it goes. Right. Okay, so those people that tell you they've got whatever syndrome it is with vibration in their hands, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's real. I'm sure it is. How many thousands of hours have I got on tools that vibrate? Air tools, sanders. Couldn't even calculate it. Couldn't even calculate it. Do I have problems with my hands? No, not yet. No, I don't know. Some people are just more resistant to injuries. Right, it's all the sanding. Okay, I put my AirPods back in and away I go again. Right, so we went 60, 80, 120. And I wasn't really happy with the finish I got on a 120. So I've just done another hour on a 150. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Right, so now I've got a 240 on. That's 240 grit. Brand new belt. And then once we're done with 240, we're going to skip straight to the 400, which will be the final belt sand before we hit it with the 700-800 orbital to give it its final polish. So we're going to do the 240 and then we'll put the rounds on and then we'll go to 400. I just fucking done all that without pressing record. Do it again, Simon, and don't bother editing out, and then we can see what an idiot you are. Right, here we go. I remembered which drawer it was. We're using the big router with the big round for the top round, and we're using the palm router with the little easement more than a round. It is a round, but for the underside. And they can't see you down there, can they? Come. How can they see you down there? Huh? They can't, can they? No. What are you waiting for? Do you know? No, it's just boring for you, isn't it? Because we're not doing anything. Yeah, it's just boring. Yeah. Oh, the big stretch. The big stretch. Anyway, 6 hours. My arms, chest, and is that a white out or is that smoke? We don't know. Anyway, let's put these rounds on. So I put a first coat of wax on to protect it before I did anything else, unlike the other side. Right, does it need more coats yet? Does it look good? Oh yeah. Considering what we started with. So now I'm into putting blocks along here so that I can replicate what I've got on that side. I have had a slight delay and I have got a glass back this morning. And you probably have already seen this video before you see this video. In fact, it's absolutely for sure you would have done. The reason I have a glass back is because I spent 15 hours within 24 hours, stood here, either in that aisle working on that engine, or the other side and working on that engine. Either way, my back was either backwards or forwards for such a long period of time. Do I have any leaks? Is everything dry? You would have already seen this leaving the yard to do its day's ploughing, having rolled out that door at 9 AM, having came in this door at 12 noon the day before, and I worked on it continuously, and we did that awful trip to town. Anyway, what that has done, and I tried to get a good 10 or 12 hours sleep last night, because I can't do these. I used to be able to, I just can't. Anyway, all that aside, my back this morning, and I don't know whether that's 10 hours of lying in bed or over that thing, but it's not clever. And those of you got disc injuries, back injuries, one sort of another, pre-operation you're living a nightmare, post-operation you think you're Superman. Let me tell you, that Superman period doesn't last very long. Right. Okay, we have got, talking to Supermen, right? Woohoo! Yeah, did that ever take some sanding to get that and some work in the way that it should do? And this, anyway, look how good it looks now. So, yet another success. I'm going to put you on time lapse and get this back area done. So I've got the bottom section in and I've got the shelf in, and I've actually been removing all the three-phase wiring that was down here because of all the sockets that are no longer required. Which always takes a bit of time. I'm not quite sure. I got the opportunity, whilst I've disconnected all the wiring at the fuse box there, this here, just to ensure I'm splitting the power up evenly, socket, and then it come across the top. So blue is went to these other two sockets. And then I've got, I could one phase there, split two phases in this one. As so in bring it down here. When you're running single phase, we only need one of these. Sockets off of this, because so there is nothing. Take two of those phases, off anything in the fuse box. The two sockets down here, and then so the two sockets down there. It's got major cables running up from the mains, splitting the power. Because if you have too much drawing off one phase, going all the way back to the box, you'll forever be overloading one of the phases, and I like to keep splitting it, so I need to see what that's coming off of. And I could take two of the phases off, and then I could use two of the phases out of here off and run the sockets for the sockets, two sockets off two different phases. Now, during the making of this video, I've noticed some of you enjoyed the whole thought process behind everything. All right, well, here's a thought process. I have exhausted my supply, my useful supply of wide timber that I can use, and I've got this thing inside. Right, none of which are good. Yesterday, for the first time this winter, I actually got to clear my yard, and there's a number of reasons for that, but I had this bit here clear and I never got to the other side. Well, yesterday I had to go and do my distance ploughing, and when I come back I'm just like, I have to clear the yard because we need to get to the woodsheds. So I haven't been in the sawmill building, well, for months. Anyway, I am kind of clear here now. Then there's two pressing things. That's a pressing thing. It's also a depressing thing. Anyway, that needs to have a thermostat changed on it and the engine heat sorted out and the electrics in the cab because he's cold. Right, so my thought process. We need wide boards. Because of the storm, we can actually get in here quite easily. Okay, so at the back there, I've got a pack of quite wide stuff, some of which would be perfect. I've got a small spack. Anyway, these two packs can come out of the way. We can get in there quite easy with a forklift and get that pack out. I'm going to snap a few blades because of the cold. Now, I haven't been in here for months. As you can see, we couldn't even get here till yesterday, so let's have a look at the thought process behind possibly running up the sawmill. You're into a few hours to open it up and clear it all up. Oh yeah, still got power. Is this a reality? Oh, I don't know. She don't like to run in these temperatures. And like I say, you snap blades. The metal's just too brittle. If I had to, but I don't know if I have to, if I'm honest. Oh, it's cold in here. I would be able to tell you what the temperature was in centigrade and Fahrenheit. But unfortunately my good friend sent me this, right, Heath, from Heath.his Adventures, and it arrived broken. You can see it snapped in the middle there, so it don't work. So any chance of me being able to quick glance and tell you what all I can tell you is when it hits -40, it's -40, -40. That's what I can tell you. -40 Fahrenheit is -40 centigrade. Why they started at -40 and worktop, I don't know. Hello, silly bear. What are you doing? Where's your ball? Have you buried it? Oh yeah, I can see a glimpse of green in there. Good boy. Right, so that being the case then, the forks are buried over there. We can dig those out real easy. I think, in my thought process, if we take off this upright here, which got a bit damaged in the storm, and take off that one, I think we can roll that sheet up and get in there quite easily with a forklift. Right, so an hour later, the long stuff that was down there is now stood up over there. The battening and the big pine is down there. I've got a use for those. They are the offcuts from the boardwalk on the railway bridge that we use for the draw runners. Right. That's got those up and finished my electrics. So, good. Yes. Yeah. Now I think I talked about the three-phase cable that was supplying the three-phase sockets on this wall, and how I was going to split up the phases. So one phase does these two sockets, another phase does these two sockets, and the third phase is there. That's going to be the lighting ring, you know, for the under counter lights. Yeah. Okay. Power restored to that ring. Right, so next is the cabinets. I was going to start the machining yesterday, but by the time I'd done everything I had to do, then I realised it was 1500 hours and I had to start the snow plough and get her in. Now it has snowed overnight, but it's not deep enough to plough. Not really, it's borderline. But what day is it today? Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know. I don't know what day it is. Anyway, there's the mother and father of all snowstorms coming. Thursday night, Friday night, Thursday night. Thursday night, Friday morning. And I can see it snowing now. Anyway, turn you around just so you can see my beautiful view. What a view. Here's a view. It's going to get a whole lot better in a minute with that bench all gone. I'm going to see the radiators for the first time. I've never seen them. I know they're there, but we've never seen them. Anyway, where were we? And it just got too late. And did I catch up on my sleep from the carry-on last week? Yeah, last night. Asked Casper. And he's pestering me this morning. I'm just like, go away, go away, go away. Stop it. Anyway, he kept pestering me, which means he was obviously getting desperate. I was so tired, I just carried on sleeping. Anyway, so I woke up at 10:05. So that's 12 hours, or 11.5 hours. That's caught up on all my sleep. Anyway, on to machining now. We'll start machining up for the cupboards. Things have not gone according to plan. I didn't get in what I thought I was getting in. I didn't have what I thought I had. Anyway, where are we? Well, we're into gluing and laminating boards. These are the side pieces for the top cabinets. So all of this stuff I made out of like single width boarding. Well, I don't have what I thought I had, and that's Aspen. So normally Aspen is reserved for sauna work. Well, I don't have any sauna work, and I haven't got a sauna myself, and little intention of building one. So, but that Aspen's so old, I cut that on the original big circular sawmill that wanted to kill me every time I fired it up. So that pack's not as wide as I thought it was, nor is the material in there as good as I thought it was. So I've literally been cutting down the Aspen I've got, running it through all the various machines to get board widths like this, is the last piece left, and then laminating them together. So I've never made any kind of joinery with aspen before. I can't imagine it wouldn't be a problem, but and I've got some pine and some fir and bits and pieces. Can I make up all those top cabinets and my drawers with what's in there? Yeah. But I was weighing up whether it would be easier just to open up the sawmill and take some of those cants and just run them through, because some of those cants are 10, 12, 14, 18 inches wide. But by the time I've done all that, I mean, I'll give you an idea of why I'm not. The blades break at minus figures. Even when they're cold, the blades snap, and it's just hard work and everything jams up. Whoa. It's about minus 26, so we're not going to be here long. It did snow, but it's not deep enough to plough. And there is supposed to be the single biggest dump. You see how much it snowed? The single biggest dump of the winter is supposed to be coming this afternoon and overnight. So tomorrow we'll be digging ourselves out. Which reminds me, what I should do is get the tractor out of there and go and get the bucket. Otherwise we'll have to drive from here to there to get the bucket and then dig the bucket out. So really I should do that, which is no great shakes because the tractor's warm all the time it's inside. Anyway, the temperature's dropped again, and I don't know, it just seems like an awful lot of work, an incredible amount of work to open all that up. I've only got 2 bandsaw blades. If those 2 snap, I've got none. So there we go. And I wouldn't really normally order any bandsaw blades until the snowplow money started to come in. Well, that hasn't happened yet either because we didn't have any snow. Anyway, can I make them up? Yeah. I can do that. See, I've got some of my drawer sides already. Anyway, so the point of doing this is I've got some wide-ish material over here, but I'm going to have to laminate some stuff together to make it all work. I'm going to call this video Where We Are done, because the other thing I'm quite aware of, whilst some of you marvel at all of this, they're not as popular as my tractor breaking down and me trying to figure out what it is and fix it. So there we go, that's the truth of that. Although if we come down to that versus fixing the timer on the tractor, I know where I am with it, but anyway, if we ain't got the tractor, we ain't doing no snow ploughing, and if we ain't doing no snow ploughing, then we ain't doing anything. That's where I am with all that. Anyway, so we now got fresh snow. We got a huge amount coming tonight. I've got to get all the cameras out, charge all the batteries, get everything ready, go and get the bucket, make sure I'm ready for what's coming, because it's going to be an early start, because I'll have to do the roads first. That's if I don't have to do them in the night. We'll see what happens when I take the dog out at 10. If they're already impassable, we might just stick the plough on and fly round the roads just to keep the roads open, just in cases. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye for now.